We're talking now to Cameron Campeau, Kettering Fairmont class of 2006. Cameron earned 3 letters in football, 2 in track, and 3 in wrestling. In wrestling, he was a district qualifier as his sophomore, junior, and senior years. He was a captain and most valuable both his junior and senior years. As a senior, he was league and sectional champ and was a state qualifier. For his Firebird career, he ranks 8th in takedowns with 289 and 10th in career victories with 98. In football, Cameron earned the Best Offensive Back Award as a sophomore. He was first team All-GWOC in 2004 and 2005. As a junior, he was first team All-Area, honorable mention All-Southwest Ohio, and team Most Valuable Offensive Back. He holds the records for all Fairmont schools, including Old Fairmont, East, West, and Kettering Fairmont, for most carries in a game. We're going to talk about that later, 63, and most yards from scrimmage in a game with 413. He was named GWOC Running Back of the Year his senior year. Cameron also holds 4 other Fairmont records. Yards rushing in a season, 1,696 set in 2004. Yards rushing in a career, 3,451. Most touchdowns in a season, 27. And most touchdowns in a career, 45. He was a recipient of the Finley Pugh Award, which goes annually to the top male athlete in the graduating class. After graduation, Cameron played football at both Hutchinson Community College in Kansas and Bluffton University in Ohio. He graduated from Forsyth Technical Community College in North Carolina with a degree from the construction and carpentry program. Today he lives in Greensboro, North Carolina with his wife Carrie and her 3-year-old daughter Skylar. He works at Goodyear Tire and Rubber in Danville, Virginia, building tires for the military. And on his days off, he works as a farmhand at a horse farm. Mm-hmm. Welcome, Cameron.
Well, thank you.
Cameron, you excelled in 3 sports in an era of specialization when most kids stuck to just one sport. Mm-hmm. All 3 sports you played were high-intensity sports that require a lot of conditioning and a lot of wear and tear on your body. How difficult was it to maintain that intensity from one season to the next to the next?
Yeah, well, it was pretty hard, I'd say. It's just because when you go from football to wrestling and to track, football, it's, you're running and you get your contact and you get, and then you go to wrestling and then you're not really a whole lot of running. It's just you're one-on-one with one man and you're more physically, and then track, it's more running. But how to maintain all that was, a mindset that I have created through the years I was doing this. It was, okay, just, you gotta, like a switch, basically. All right, football season, now it's time to flip that switch on. You ever seen the movie Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone? He switches his hat around. It's just kind of the way it was for me.
Did you have any trouble doing that?
No, not really. It was just, after my freshman year after my freshman year in school at Fairmont, I got it in a routine. And it was just like a switch. Every season that came up, it was just hitting that switch.
So, were you pretty worn down at the end of the season? These are all high conditioning sports.
I was very worn down. After my senior year of wrestling, I did not run track my senior year. I did not. I was more focused on, because I had an ambition. I wanted to go to college and pursue my football career. Well, at that time, I didn't have any real big hits in college. No one was really interested. I don't know why. I never really, don't even know where to begin on that. So, in order to, I just was more focused on that, and I was, believe it or not, I played in a rugby team out in Miamisburg during track season. So I did that just because I love football and the contact aspect of it, just to maintain that, if I did ever get an opportunity to play, I could still do it for a part of the season. And I finally got a hit. So.
let's talk about what everybody's going to want to know about, and that's the game. You rushed 63 times for 413 yards in a football game. One football game for the Firebirds.
I did.
Now, those numbers are mind-boggling and will probably never be broken. Tell us about the game.
Well, I forget who we played before Springfield South. The game, it felt like it was never going to end. Because, like you said, I ran for 413 yards, carried the ball 63 times. And I remember our coach at the time, Coach Brian Blevins, he says, "You're going to be wore out after this game." And I had no idea what he was talking about. And I didn't see the game film of Springfield South's offense. I didn't know who we were going against until I figured out Brandon Glass, or whatever, I forget his name at the time. But he was, the goal was to keep him off the field. And that's when Coach Brian Blevins told me, "You will be wore out after this game."
And he was right.
And he was exactly right.
Did you feel any different going into that game?
I was just trying to get myself prepared to, after he was telling me what he was saying to me about being wore out. Preparing myself, because, like I said, I was here to play. I was here to do win, and whatever it took to win, I was going to do it. And that's how I kind of prepared, whatever he had said and tell me to do what I had to do, and that's what I was doing.
At what point did you get the feeling something special was going on here?
After I kept hearing my name go off on the loud system every time, and and that's when I knew something. That I knew it was something going to happen. Something good's going to happen here. So,
Did you ever come off the field on offense the whole game?
no.
Didn't figure. 413 yards is the equivalent of 4 great games.
Mm-hmm.
When you found out after the game how many yards you had gained, how'd you react?
Well, after the game, I found a chair and sat down, and after Coach came up and talked to me, and and everything, and he told me what I'd done and shook my hand, said congratulations, and I was jaw dropped.
Yeah, I'll bet.
So
That was still is one of the top rushing games in the history of Ohio, I believe.
I believe you're right. It is.
How sore were you the next day after all that pounding?
The ice bath didn't look better.
What were some other highlights from your days as an athlete at Kettering Fairmont?
The highlights, boy.
In all 3 sports.
Well,
anything else stand out in your mind?
Wrestling was one of them. I was predicted to win the district tournament in wrestling, and I lost my first match, and I had to go back and beat 5 guys I've already beaten through the season to come back and take third to go to state. That was probably one of my other biggest highlights.
Wow.
So.
That's a pretty grueling task.
It was.
Coming through the losers bracket.
Coming through the losers bracket and coming from the bottom all the way back up.
Wow. Anything else? Anything? Any other highlights stand out?
No, there's lots, but we'll be here all day.
Who are some of the people who had the biggest influence on you as an athlete at Fairmont?
Biggest influence? Well, there's lots of them. Coach Andy Rockery, he was a huge influence.
Fairmont Hall of Famer.
Fairmont Hall of Famer. Josh Jackson, another, I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer.
He is.
He is a Hall of Famer. Big influence. Those guys were my coaches, at the time. But the main one was it was my wrestling head coach, Frank Baxter, because he had a quote he always told me when I stepped on the mat or before a game. Every time I seen him through the halls of school, he says, "Cameron, always be the hammer, not the nail."
And you already mentioned Coach Blevins.
Yep.
And okay. You went on to play in college. Talk about the difference between college sports and high school sports.
Wow, huge difference. Let's just when I went to Hutchinson Community College, it's actually a community JUCO league. The level I played at was phenomenal, I guess you could say, because the guys I was playing with is actually a recruiting school, and Coach Rockery can vouch if he wants to. It's a recruiting school for also the NFL and Division I schools. Basically what it is, it's for kids from out of high school, go to the school, or Division I, or different kids out of colleges that have failing grades, do things that they ain't supposed to do, or whatnot, and they go to these schools to reform their grades and get their credits up, or they can get recruited to the pros and whatever else. But besides the point, when these kids come from different schools, you know, you're not competing against high school kids. You're talking Division I athletes, you know, guys that you've seen on Madden, or, you know, the college football games. Because I mean, I can name off a few of them. Chris Todd, he played for Texas Tech. He was a quarterback. Antoine Kennedy, he was the middle linebacker for Louisville, Kentucky. Danny McAvoy, I think he was a receiver at Oklahoma. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but I was competing with these guys, and I knew at that point in time, my level with their level is not the same. And
you weren't going to gain 413 yards
I was not
against
going to
those guys.
gain no 413 yards against any of these guys. These guys were, you know, I was playing, you know, basically guys that are probably going to go pro, and it was a whole new level. And it was either, you know, I wasn't ready to quit, so I did what I needed to do, and I transferred to a different school that I could know what level I was capable of playing at. So,
Cameron, you have a 3-year-old daughter, Skylar.
I do.
And she's too young to appreciate what's happening with her dad this weekend. But down the road, when she's old enough to understand, what would you like her to know about her dad as an athlete in high school?
Well, when she gets old enough and she's ready to do the athletics, I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna try to, or teach her that hard work does pay off. It does. And some people don't believe it, some people do, but it does. And
that's a great lesson for her.
And but for right now, I just want her to enjoy being a 3-year-old little girl. So when that day comes and when she's ready to start the athletic career like I did, we'll start working on it.
Okay, you're a Hall of Famer. You got any advice for young athletes coming up through Fairmont now?
Don't ever let anyone tell you can't do anything. Because there's things in my career that I was not capable of doing, and I was always told that, you may not be able to do that. You may not be able to do this. Well, it never felt any better to prove somebody wrong. So if someone tells you can't do nothing, there's always a way to and how, and don't ever quit.
Great advice. It's been great sitting down and talking with you. Thank you for that, and congratulations, and enjoy the weekend, Cameron.
Thank you. I will. Thank you.